What is going on, my broskies? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we have the Kizuna clash against SHIKI, and we've got 3 sets of teams to go ahead and showcase in this video today. If you guys have seen some of the videos that I've been uploading over the last couple of days, you guys would have probably seen the teams that you will be seeing in this video. We have a free-to-play team, we also have my own personal teams, as well as a one-team versus all that I was able to develop as well. I will admit though that the one team versus all might not be optimal because it doesn't really utilize Katakuri as a friend captain, but it is still a one team that does beat all of the variations, which is still pretty cool. Now, also something that I had kind of figured out as well is that 2 of the teams that I use in my own personal teams, which we'll get to in a moment, can actually use Katakuri as a friend captain. So if you want to build a team utilizing that, that is awesome. It's just that, you know, finding Katakuri friend captains might be a little bit difficult considering the whole friend system shenanigans. But anyways, here we have the free-to-play team versus the Psy variation. I did kind of screw up and forget to put the Vivi support on Custard. It didn't really matter at the end of the day. You know, we had a matching slot on Custard, so when we use the special ability of that unit, we'll get a full board of int slots, which is exactly what we need. And in terms of a raw free-to-play team, it's actually pretty good because, you know, obviously Uta carries pretty hard with this team. The free-to-play Orochi is also really good to get rid of all of that bind immediately, which is pretty ridiculous. I'll leave you guys with this team and we'll pick things up with the next one. Moving on now to the secondary free-to-play team, which is going to be that Mono Dex team against the Quick Fight. Now, one thing about this team, I do actually kind of screw up with this one. I forget to activate the treble special ability on Battle 2, which means that we don't actually kill in one turn, and it does kind of screw up the team comp a little bit, but we are still able to get it done, surprisingly. But just make sure if you are building a free-to-play team, make sure do not forget to use specials on Battle 2. It can be literally the difference between winning and losing, okay? So make sure to go ahead and get that sorted. Also, when you activate the special ability of Durfee and Treble, you want to make sure you hit 4 perfects in order to get the chain lock in the following turn. If you don't get it, it's not the end of the world, considering Hiyori, as a friend captain, when you launch her special, she does actually get rid of the chain coefficient reduction that is inflicted to your team. So, you know, that's at least a nice thing. She's just such a good unit for this quest here as well. If you have access to the One Piece Day Zora and Sanji character, they're also a really good unit to use. I think ideally the way that you're supposed to build a team against this is probably to use them as a hybrid, like one captain is Zoro and Sanji, the other one as Hiyori. If you do build a team like that, yeah, you're going to have a lot more success than what you're seeing here, but this is just a really good team that's free to play, it gets the job done, and, you know, if you got the summonable units or, you know, more rare recruits, legends and stuff, definitely use that, because, you know, Zoro and Sanji, free to play unit from the treasure map, probably isn't the most ideal captain to be using in 2022, but, as I said, it still gets the job done. Now we get to the last free-to-play team, which is going to be utilizing a V2 Katakuri Super Evolved captain with a friend captain Kaido. And this is a pretty solid team. This team will do a really good amount of damage. Make sure to go ahead and use Katakuri Special in Battle 2 so you can get the buffed attack boost in Battle 3. It's going to make a big difference to give you a pretty significant attack boost there. And we do have, you know, the Linlin, which you will be activating on Battle 3 as well. But ideally, you want to get Katakuri's attack boost instead, because it's just more ideal. Because with Linlin, only some of your characters will end up getting that boost. With Katakuri, all of them will get the boost, so make sure to go ahead and do that. We have Moria to deal with Battle 2, which gives us a pretty good amount of damage there. Obviously, we can use the Katakuri special as well. My one in this example is level 150 and Limit Break expanded, so it is a lot better than what most free-to-play players would get access to, I must admit, but still, even with the base Katakuri 6+, you're going to have a lot more success using him as a captain in this case here. Synergize as well, utilizing Kaido as that friend captain with his amazing superclass special to get those Wano slots, and his special ability providing a significant orb boost, and especially if you have a higher level Kaido, I mean, it's just going to be super good. Plus, you've got access to his increased damage taken, which if you hit with a Wano slot, you can make sure to hit with him and then finish with Jack with your attack combinations, so that Jack actually gets the increased damage taken. So it's just a super ideal team, does a lot of damage in terms of a free-to-play team, which isn't too bad. Now we get to my own personal teams here, so we are looking at the side variation first once again, and with this team you can definitely go ahead and use a friend captain Katakuri from the Kizuna Sugo Fest, and it will enable you to get even more tickets. The free-to-play, or not the free-to-play, but the summonable Katakuri from the Kizuna Sugo Fest, his captain ability is a quick, powerhouse, and cerebral captain. So in this case here, we have a full cerebral team. It's gonna work perfectly, which is great. We don't have to worry about matching slots with double Uta because we will have Hiyori as a crewmate. If you don't have Hiyori as a crewmate, you will need to find some type of way to get matching slots on your crew. We have the Robert and Jinbei, who are going to be very good for Battle 2, getting rid of the attack down that is given to our crew here. Robert and Jinbei are just really good in this Kizuna in general. They just get around a lot of the different debuffs that you'll be encountering in this quest. The good thing about Robert and Jinbei too is they do provide a 1000 base attack boost to the crew, which is actually kind of understated in a lot of situations. You know, everyone kind of understands their utility they provide, but you know, the 1000 base attack boost can just be a little bit of nice, you know, extra damage that they can provide. And Legend Chopper, the one that debuted with Uta, is going to be a huge asset to your team here because he provides color affinity boost not only to int characters but to cerebral units in general. So if you're running any type of you know, cerebral based unit on a cerebral based team, that Chopper is going to be great. And in this case here, gets rid of that bind. The paralysis is dealt with Uta as a captain, and of course after the boss HP changes with the behavior patterns depending on the HP that the boss has, you know, you're going to be given more effects of additional paralysis. There's going to be special reverse, and Uta just deals with that, which makes this fight very easy. Moving on to the quick fight, we're going to be using double Hiyori in this situation here, which is pretty nice. It's really interesting to go ahead and use Hiyori. The main reason why using Hiyori as a captain makes things a little bit easier is because of her super type special, which enables you to reduce the cooldown of your characters, which doesn't really matter in this particular fight, but it reduces 7 turns of enemy resilience. And there aren't a lot of like specials in the game that just remove that much resilience. And of course, in this fight, the enemy will inflict resilience to themselves. I think it starts at 5 turns, and then after the boss HP changes at a certain threshold, it goes to +1, so it goes to 6 turns of resilience. So, you know, there are quite a lot of specials that remove 5 turns of resilience. 6 turns, there aren't as many, because you have to rely on other Kizuna rare recruits to do that. And if you don't have some of those key Kizuna rare recruits, you may need to look at doing end of turn damage. That's probably going to be your best way forward, whether it be via a captain ability or some type of special ability, or, you know, if you have one of those really cool supports that do that, that is also an option. But there's also the fact that after the boss HP changes the gimmicks, there's going to be an effect that makes all type slots non-beneficial, should I say, for a certain amount of time, and that's where Hiyori's Wano slots are going to be super key. And also in this quest, the enemy can be inflicted with increased damage taken, so the Zoro and Sanji character from the One Piece Day Sugo Fest give you huge color affinity boost. They do orb change, but they also inflict increased damage taken to the enemy, and of course you can inflict it with the enemy. If you can somehow fit it on your team, it's going to be a pretty good asset to have. And then we get to the final of my own personal teams versus the SHIKI fight, and in this team we're going to be using double Kaido, but once again you actually can use Katakuri as a friend captain because it is a full powerhouse team, aside from Luffy crew of course, but Katakuri from the Kizuna Sugo Fest is a cerebral, quick, and powerhouse captain, so you can use that in this situation here if you want to get more tickets. Another thing that you do have to be very cautious of is that after the boss HP changes at the certain HP threshold, then the enemy is going to inflict you with hunger, and you have to somehow deal with 2 stacks of hunger. And if you're using Kaido as a captain, there aren't a lot of characters that synergize with Kaido that have the ability to remove hunger. One of those characters is Legend Kuma that we're using in this example here. If you don't have that character, then you're going to have to find a way around that with a potential ability using that on your crew, or by going ahead and finding a way to generate recovery slots for your crew. Those are going to be the 2 key ways to kind of get around that hunger. It is very annoying that they decided to do that because, on Kizuna you're trying to do as much damage as possible, and if you don't have some of those key characters with hunger, you have to deal with recovery slots, and recovery slots may not be the most ideal slot to be using in a lot of circumstances. So yeah, this one can definitely be a bit of an issue. Also, we've got some pretty good support characters on this team. You see Page 1 activate and Rayleigh activate there in this crew to enable us to get around the despair and the attack down post that level 30 threshold where additional turns of despair and attack down are inflicted to the team. So by activating those supports, we're not going to have to worry after the HP threshold, and at that point there, we shouldn't have too many issues getting through this fight. And then we make it to the one team versus all. So as I mentioned at the very start of the video, this team does deal with all of these fights. However, the one thing about this team is that it doesn't give you additional tickets. So this still can be an option for you, and you may need to have a secondary team on the back burner if you want to go ahead and build a team with Katakuri instead. I'm not too sure in terms of what teams with Katakuri at the moment. We might be able to find one very, very soon. I might share that on the community tab if you guys are looking for something like that. But this team works very well. Uta pretty much hard carries the team in terms of giving us the essential boosts. Remember that Uta only provides the buffs to Striker and Cerebral, so having characters of the right colors that are also Striker and Cerebral to deal with all of the different variations is going to be quite key. So in this instance, we're going to have to deal with a Psy boss, so Uta deals with that in terms of color affinity. We have a Dex boss, so Kaido and King, both being Striker characters that have that type advantage. And then there's also going to be the quick fight, so we need a Dex character that is a Striker character that gets the boost from both Kaido's captain ability as well as Uta's captain ability. So the Striker is the ones is the overlap between Uta and Kaido. So you want to have characters that are Striker that have the color affinity that can get around it. So you see in this instance here in the Psy variation, we're going to get rid of the bind via the Blackbeard, and the reason why we're using Blackbeard is because he has the support of Lafitte that can help us remove some of the bind that will occur on one of the fights. I think it's the Dex fight. Having those additional supports to get around like the attack down and also the extra bind and despair that may occur in this quest, going to be very, very useful to have stuff like that. So no real issues versus the Psy fight. However, versus the quick fight, this one was a little janky as, characters that are Dex or quick are the ones that receive cooldowns. So Uta's not going to have any problems because she's a boosted unit in the event. However, in this instance here, we have the cooldowns ready for Kid as well as Sanji Pudding. So Sanji Pudding are a really good option here because they actually get around Hunger as well, which will occur on versus Dex in the last variation that you'll see in a moment. But another thing is that they also get rid of Rainbow Shield, which we have to get rid of on Battle 2. And they also have Color Affinity Boost, which is a kind of a nice addition for one of the other fights if we do need it. And another thing why we have used them as well is because they do have a support that says that anytime you're inflicted with Chain Coefficient Reduction, you get given a chain locking effect. And that is why we have this team built in such a way. So obviously we can't get access to the Blackbeard special because he doesn't receive the cooldown. So we have the support of Peckham's, Treasure Map Rare Recruit Peckham's, which gives us a 2.5 times chain lock, which is not an amazing chain lock, but it gets around chain coefficient reduction, and it gets around the attack down based on your chain multiplier. So that's the main reason why that specific support is put on. And there's also resilience that we have to deal with. So we have Kid, who is a striker, he is Dex, he has type advantage, there's the overlap with the captains, gets boosted by Utu's special ability, and gets around the resilience with the Kid special. So it makes perfect sense to use him here in this case. One of the teams that I showed in my preparation video didn't have a Dex striker on the team. It was a little janky with like Luffy crew and stuff. It's not an ideal team. This team should last a pretty good amount of time. I'm not too sure what threshold it's going to start struggling, but at least right now from what I can see, it is a team that works, right? So you can go ahead and opt to use a team very, very similar to this. Then we have the final variation versus Dex, and of course there's going to be Special Bind on Battle 2. We typically don't have to worry about it because it's only for the crewmates. We can activate the special ability of Uta to give us the attack boost to Striker and Cerebral, which means that we don't really have to worry about damage for the first few stages. And then when we get to the last stage in terms of getting around all of the gimmicks, the Rare Recruit King is so phenomenal, gets around attack down, gets around despair, gets around the Special Bind, deals with everything. And then we have Uta already for Uta's, Striker and Cerebral attack and all boosting effect, so we don't have to worry about getting King's attack boost over Uta's, which is good. Then we've also got the Blackbeard for the chain boundary effect. We have Kaido's superclass, which gives us Wano slots. Luckily, none of the variations on Battle 3 actually generate block slots, because if that was the case, then this team would be probably not going to be working as well as it is. So luckily, we don't have to worry about block slots, and Kaido's superclass special can give us the slots that we require. But that's going to wrap it up from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.